All right. So, welcome. This is the very first episode of this podcast. I actually don't know
You don't
what
have a
this
name for it yet?
podcast. I don't have a name for it yet. I just wanted to know that I wanted you, Fried Chicken, Ian Hole,
Yep.
and we're also here with Dave, Assassin Dave. I just knew that I wanted you to be the first guest of the podcast. So, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you
And
for inviting me.
yeah, I I've been excited, especially with everything that's happening. I've been excited to talk to you. And before we start, I just want to say a disclaimer that the views and opinions of everybody in this podcast, the host, the guests, is solely the opinion of the people who expresses them, does not represent the opinion of the league, MPL Philippines, NACT, or Moonton. So, all right, let's get it started. First, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. Had some solid scrims, a good stream, and then doing this right afterwards. Pretty. I mean, I guess that's what I could call a fulfilling day. That might sound pretty sad to some people though.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's what a lot of people are doing right now. Dave, how about you? Like, by
Fantastic.
the way, Dave, thanks for helping me arrange this with Ian. Okay, so Dave is here just to,
Be a friend.
be a friend
Yeah.
and a support to Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
So I
My buddy
guess we'll
Mao.
go straight to it. Should we go straight to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and later on, I want to know. I want to talk about your stint in M3 because I know when you went there. How old were you then? 16.
I was 18. 18.
Oh, you were 18. You were 18.
I turned 18 about a month before M3.
All right, because that was just like a couple of years ago. Was it you who said that your parents didn't want you to go there?
So at first, 100% they didn't want me to go when I was talking about it, and if M2, if NA got invited, I 100% wouldn't have been able to go. And I was still part of BTK at that time. My parents literally did say, because at the time we were told the possibilities of being invited, and then it's COVID restrictions did not allow NA to get invited. So then it was I told my parents about it when it was a possibility. They just said completely no. They wouldn't give in at all. Then when M3 came around, I had started streaming and doing some of the minor NA tournaments, winning, getting a bunch of money, and growing big on YouTube. They were slowly being more and more convinced, and at some point it was more like me and my dad were just guilt tripping my mom into letting me go. Essentially was the point. It's this is a huge opportunity. You can't miss this. It's only a month of school. It's not a big deal. All that kind of stuff. I flunked the final. I went.
So you stopped school to go to
I stopped school
M3.
for 1 month. Yeah, it was actually right before finals. Right before finals. I don't know if it's what the education system is over there, but we have 2 semesters for high school in the U.S. and it was right before the first semester ending, which is the halfway mark, which I left. So I basically all my semester finals I had to skip and then redo them when I come back.
I actually don't know how the school system here goes. I didn't go to school here. But so basically your dad was
Canada,
supportive. Yeah, I grew up in Toronto.
Yeah.
So your dad was supportive, but your mom wasn't. Why? What was her point? What was she saying? No, I don't believe in that.
All I have to tell you is a Chinese mom. That's all I need to tell you.
Oh, you're half Chinese.
Yeah, I'm half Chinese and half white.
Oh, okay. Dave is
Oh, that's
Yeah,
why he's so cute,
Yeah.
He's I get it. You're Chinese, Dave, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there. I just wanted to make sure. Dave's I can relate. Okay, so you stopped school. Your parents didn't let you, your mom at least. And then when you came back 3rd place, especially with the prize money, what was their reaction?
I mean, they were overjoyed for me. It's for them, my mom always hated us playing video games our whole lives, and that's also I see Dave nodding his head. That's just typical Chinese mom stuff. Our dad was the one who would always cave in and get us games whenever not, despite my mom telling him not to. So I think from that point on is when my mom changed her view completely on what I do, and now she's been encouraging of it ever since and supportive, which I thank God.
Oh, I just want to say here, Chicken has the best mom. His mom is awesome.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you won because now, when you reach a certain level of success, no matter what your parents say, it's when you reach that success, you make them a believer. I was actually just watching, that is it Gran Turismo, that movie where the dad didn't believe in the son, and then he became
Yeah.
like
Race
a
car.
legit
Mhm.
race car driver from being like a sim player, like a sim
Mhm.
driver.
I know that movie.
And I was just watching that literally like last night, or was it a couple of nights ago? And in the beginning, the dad's like, "That's not gonna get anywhere." And then he became a race car driver, earning millions. And then the dad comes in crying. It's like, I didn't support you properly. So did your mom had that moment? Did she have
Uh,
that moment?
she didn't really have that moment. She was just happy for me.
She was just
She's
like,
like,
I
"Well, I
still
don't,
know
I
what I'm
don't care
doing.
about all those years I didn't support you. Now I support you. That's all that matters." That's basically how
Yeah.
she treated it.
Yeah. Hello to mom. Thank you. They reached third place.
Yeah, but
So
I'm still happy.
for the people who don't know, what are you doing right now?
Just competing in NACT under Gaming Gladiators, a pretty notable Dota org. They sponsored us as for this season of NACT for the upcoming $3 million MSC tournament. So we are competing to
Yeah.
go into that. Playoffs start
Yeah.
this weekend, and the grand finals will be in like a month.
This weekend, like literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Literally, this weekend playoffs
Like this
start.
this coming. Oh,
Yeah. Mhm.
wow. Okay. All right. Other than NACT, what are you doing? Like, what are you good
Like in
at? What else
life,
do you do? Yeah.
not much. I'm gonna be honest. I've been just so focused on this last few years that I haven't really explored myself as a person, which definitely is something I've noticed too. Where it's like this has been my life. This has been my life since high school. So like, I'm asking myself that same question sometimes. I've just been doing this in YouTube basically.
The reason why I ask is because when I watched a video that you made, and we'll be talking about that in a bit, I thought this is such a smart guy. And I'll be okay. So let's get to that topic. There's a recent issue that happened for those people who don't know and want to recap of what happened. Your name blew up recently. You're part
What?
of the broadcast for MPL Philippines. You said a certain comment during your stream, and it wasn't a broadcast. It blew up. What was that? What was that quote that you said? Do you remember?
I said I don't know the exact quote, but I know around the lines of I said I prefer MPL Indo over PH because I find Indo more entertaining, and then I said MPL PH gets a little stale sometimes. That was the exact quote for the second part. Yep.
And I believe it was misquoted, right?
It
What
was
was? Do you remember
well, technically the quote is accurate, but it was
the
out of context. It wasn't
context? Okay,
misquoted, it was out of context. Because
it
right
was out
after
of.
that,
Mm,
I didn't specify in that quote that I was talking about PH like production, but right after that, I only talk about production because in my mind that's what I was always talking about.
mhm. And regardless what your opinion was, you were saying it in your own stream, and
Mhm.
you are entitled to your own opinion.
Mhm.
But then, if you can take us through on your side, and then what happened after that?
So I wake up the next morning because I didn't watch that night of MPO, and I saw a clip, and I saw a lot of comments talking about that clip, and I go check out the video, and it's you, oh, right here, you, and the other host who I'm not familiar with because I don't believe I met before. What was his name?
Hans. He's a good guy. Hans.
Hans? Yeah, I've never met him.
Mm,
I'm sure he is. Uh, Talking about my quote, how it says boring, a few comments, not that I mind, and just I didn't really care much about what you guys said, but I looked in the comment section and I was just getting torn apart in the comment section, and I didn't think of much of it first because comments they're always going to be shit. I mean, can I
mm.
swear? Are you gonna censor this? I don't know.
It's a podcast.
um, yeah, I don't know. So I stream and like every 5-10 seconds I'd see either a copy pasta comments about like PH champions, shitting on NACT, shitting on me, basically one of those three every like 10 seconds or so, and like at the latest I guess. And I was like, it kind of I tried to ignore it. I didn't think much of it at the time, and then the following night I like really realized how big it was when it went into the next stream, and then the next MPLPH stream, it continued on. Do you want to continue off what happened there?
Yeah. First of all, like the first day, okay, yeah, your graphics was put up, and we've done that before in MPL Philippines, where we take quotes from players and we kind of poke at them. And I personally made sure that it was me who said certain things about you because you and I are friends. I mean, we're not besties, we're not super close, but we've met each other in M3, we've met each other in M4. We had that conversation and in the talent room. So we had a little bit of connection.
Mhm.
So and I knew that those comments would not bother you coming from me. So I was just like poking fun. And we didn't talk much about that in day one. It
Yeah, day one
ended
was
there.
just that one clip. That was it.
It was just that one thing. And usually when we do that with other players, it ends there. It ends there and that's it, the narrative. And then the second day, the whole broadcast, the topic was about boring, which technically it wasn't supposed to be about you. It was supposed to be about everyone else saying it's boring. And we were trying to stir up region versus region. And I guess people know what that region is. And as talents, we get certain instructions, right? And then we hyped it up because it's supposed to create rivalry. And as a host, you're like it's kind of like similar to being like an actor, you know? This is the role that you're playing today. Go ahead and then make it interesting. So we were asking players, "Oh, what do you find boring?" So they were talking about another region, House of Highlights, blah 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 blah, whatever. But then people made it about you, which I do
Yep.
not blame. I do not blame
Yeah,
because we used the word boring the first day. And then the topic of the Dave's laughing right now. The topic of the day, second day, was literally all about boring. There was like lower thirds and everything. And it got linked to you. So even though the second day was not supposed to be FwydChickn, it became, oh, who said boring? Like I looked at the comment section when we're in the talent room. There's a big TV, so we don't really see the comments. But I was taking a clip from what a certain team was saying about boring, and when I was taking that and I was screen recording, I was like, oh snap, FwydChickn, 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 FwydChickn.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
what I saw too when I looked
I was
the
like,
night
oh
before.
snap, they're linking it. They're linking it to FwydChickn, which you know,
Was not your
I
intention, yeah.
yeah, it was not the intention at all, but I could see why that was linked. It was literally supposed to be region versus region. I was supposed to stir up certain comments because of the upcoming MSC.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as early as now, we need to start stirring it up and for people to take sides. But it got really bad. How bad was that on your end?
So I thought the first day was bad. After that second day, it got really bad. I was getting
Like how bad?
like I would open Instagram and I don't normally check my random DMs, but sometimes I do in case like someone big messages me out of nowhere, and it was just all people shitting on me.
Yep.
And then I even went to my notifications on like, so I haven't posted in like 6 months, and
Yeah.
on my most recent posts it would just be like a bunch of comments about that. Like it could significantly more compared to any of my previous posts, just shitting on me, NA, or
Including
everything
NA,
else.
eh?
Yeah, they were including NA in there. It got really bad, and that's what really pushed me to make the video, because at first I was going to completely ignore it. I had a clip out of it, I laughed about it, that clip went viral, I was happy with that, I was satisfied, I was like, alright, whatever, there's my 2 seconds of fame. And then I was like, holy shit, I might actually be fucked if I don't clarify this.
How
Like,
if you could give like an estimate, do you think it's in the hundreds, the thousands, the people that were harassing you?
I mean, I wasn't really keeping track, but I could tell you that I had more haters than fans in
Yes.
my everywhere at that time.
Yeah.
Like
I would
like
imagine it's in the
90%
thousands.
more. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. How did that
If we're
affect
including
you?
all platforms, for sure. If we're including like Facebook and all that stuff, for sure. Because I got people telling me they're shitting on me in Facebook, like Pinoys that I know in NA.
Yeah. Just to give an idea of, because I see in the comment section that there are people defending you and there are people literally shitting on you. And just for people to get an idea of how bad it was on your end, okay? Um, what did you have to deal with? Did you like lose sleep over it? Were you mad? What was happened to you mentally?
At first, I was extremely angry. I was very pissed because I was like, they took me out of context. They basically, I knew I didn't say boring. I used the word stale, and I made that point in my video as well. And that makes sense now that you're talking about how it was supposed to be a separate point entirely, not about me. But since they used boring in day one, it correlated. So like, I was mad because that's something I didn't say, but it got correlated to me. And like overall, I was just really angry. Towards the later end of the day, when I started working on that video, I was like more of like a like like happy
Mhm.
because like I know this video is going to blow the fuck up. Because I was really proud of what I made that video. I
It was a
put a
good
lot of
video.
work into that video. Yeah. And then yeah, like by morning I saw the positive feedback that I saw in the morning definitely improved my mood so much. Like that helped so much. If
Good.
I'm so glad I made that video because
Did
like
you Were you feeling depressed during that
yeah,
time?
a little bit, a little bit. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. But the
Yeah.
video turned from like overwhelmingly negative to overwhelming support. I do have to thank Venus because their video that they made watching a clip of me talking about it also blew up. And the
Mm.
reason why I was gonna wait for another 24 hours to post that video because it was basically like midnight in PH. I wanted to post it in morning PH, but I saw Venus posted that video, and I was like 2 hours before I woke up, and I saw it had like 30K views already. So I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I'll just post mine so people from that video, that impressions should go to my video because it's about to they're watch. He's like reacting to one of my previous clips. So I posted that and I left a comment on Venus video. They hearted my comment. I special thanks to them for like making that reaction and supporting me. That was really nice.
Yeah, I also just want to point out because there are a lot of people that saying like, "Oh, fried chicken, you said your opinion, so we should be able to say and bash you, say what we think and bash you because you said an opinion, so you should be open to it. If you're entitled to your opinion, we're entitled to our opinion." And they're saying that you're butthurt
That's
because
what
of
I
that
use.
entire
I use the
right,
term butthurt, and I think
right.
that's completely. Completely agree with that statement that you are entitled to your own opinion and you can argue other people's opinion. The thing is, that was not my opinion. They like that was not my opinion at all. That PH gameplay was boring. My whole point was that PH gameplay was good, and I just did not like the production compared to Indo. I just preferred Indo more.
But even if
They
that was your opinion, it should be okay.
it should be okay. Yeah. It should be okay. You can argue. My point is, you can argue someone's opinion, and that's fine, and it should be okay. But no one should be harassed over their opinion.
Yes, that's actually the point that I wanted to make. No one should be harassed and no one should be cyberbullied because of this. I mean, you could feel your emotions and whatever, but going to your comment section and literally saying so much hate comments, that's something that is should not be acceptable. And I just want to say that I'm actually glad you made that video because if you didn't make that video, even though it screwed a lot of us over. Like personally, me, after that video, a lot of people started attacking me,
Which I
thinking that
apologize for.
no, it's you know what? Totally fine because in hindsight, during that time, I wasn't smart enough to think that it was going to affect you, right? If I had known, I would have said something about it. But because of course, like the thought process was, oh, it's not about fried chicken anymore, it's about another region. Didn't think that it would affect you. But anyway, going back, when you made that video, even though like it totally turned all the hate on me, I'm glad you made that video because number one, I knew you were the person that could take like a poke, whatever, which is what I did to you in day one. Like
Mhm.
I know you to be that type of person from the time that I met you. I'm like, he doesn't mind this, whatever. Like, but I did not know that you were getting hated on and harassed for at least 48 hours by the time that we ended up talking on Sunday. We ended up talking on Sunday. Um, I didn't know. I had no idea. I had no idea that you were getting cyberbullied to a point that it would cause you so much anger and distress that you needed to make that video. So it created awareness. So if people didn't see that video, people would probably be still hating on you, because I don't go on your page and look at your comment section.
That's
I don't watch your stream to go, oh, like let's see what's happening to him right now. And I don't think like a lot of people that's watching the MPL Philippines or from anywhere else, I don't think they would think to do that to see, was he affected, right?
yeah.
So
Nobody
if you
thinks about
didn't
that.
make that video, I think that you would still be getting harassed until
Yeah,
now.
100%. I would be getting harassed
100%.
until now, and probably for like months, maybe even years.
So I don't blame you for that. And it also created awareness in terms of again, this is my opinion, my views, not Moonton or not MPL Philippines, but it also created awareness on their part to be like, ooh, okay, maybe we should be more careful next time, because trash talking essentially is allowed. And when
Mhm.
trash talking is allowed, you're in that borderline,
Yeah, you're
This is
tiptoeing
the
on
yeah,
glass, basically.
this is the league where that's allowed. Like I've worked in basketball before and in baseball for Blue Jays PBA, and different type of basketball leagues. We don't really encourage that from the players. So if I were in a position that I was there, I would stop any trash talking. I wouldn't even encourage it. But we're in a league where it's kind of like UFC, kind of like a WrestleMania ish, that a league where there's a borderline that it's like, okay, let's create
And most is probably
discussion
scripted, right?
and rivalry, which on our part, yes, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So there's that point that you're right on the border, but are we crossing the line? So now that's going to definitely create a discussion about where do we cross the line? And going back to you making that video, you needed to make that video. You needed to make that video. You needed to make it happen because um there's this thing called rumination, right? Even though I know you're a strong person, you can take insults, you can take pokes, but when there's literally hundreds, that's why I asked you estimate how many do you think? When there's literally like hundreds or thousands of people saying negative comments about you, there's rumination, which is going through going through that pain or that negative thing, constantly thinking about it deeply. It's actually a symptom of depression. When you read those comments and then you think about the situation over and over and over again, it actually makes your brain worse. Even though you don't believe it to be true, but when enough people are telling you that, thousands of people are telling you that,
They're
you
gaslighting you.
start you start to feel it. You start to feel it one day, it gets worse the next day, until you actually start to believe them. So it's good that you had to cut that pattern. Other therapists actually discourage rumination. Other therapists thrive it. The way to stop a bad thought, because 90% of what you're thinking today are the thoughts of yesterday. So if you were thinking negative thoughts from all the bad comments, oh, you suck, da 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 da. Even though initially you don't believe it to be true, if you hear that every day, that becomes part of your thought. And then eventually, months later, you start to believe it and you start to feel it. And then you become a depressed person.
That's
So
something
that,
actually. I don't want you to go on too long a tangent here, but I wanted to talk about something along those lines. I see an argument a lot of people are making that's like, okay, PH got their views, Chicken got their views, everyone's happy, right? I saw a lot. I've seen a surprising amount of comments trying to justify the situation. Like, okay, neither side has to do anything anymore. Chicken shouldn't milk its, PH shouldn't apologize. Everyone's happy, and I was like, that is the stupidest logic I've ever heard. Because if I had not made that video, if it was any other person they attacked that wasn't me, that didn't make the video like in that well of a way where all the evidence is displayed out, or didn't make the video at all, that is what would happen to them. They would get harassed, they might get
yeah.
depressed, and all that stuff. Like me personally, you know, I got out of the situation. I know how to get out, but that's not everyone else. If it was like Americans, our cancel culture here is very strict compared to Asia. So I feel like we are just more experienced with dealing with this kind of thing. If they had attacked like an Asian content creator who was just too scared to say anything back, they're fucked.
Yeah. You had to make that video.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you did, because I considering what happened after and the result after, I can't predict, but I mean, I don't know what would have happened to you. Like usually, when you think of it as in a scientific level, sorry, I like to talk about these things. I like to listen to neuroscientists and stuff. In the scientific level, during that time, your brain is literally releasing a hormone called cortisol. It's the stress hormone, right? And when you release a stress hormone, literally there's an epinephrine which makes you there's three response: flight, flight or fight. You've heard of that, right? And freeze, right? So, um, either you flight, which is hide, you shut up, you turn off your social media, you freeze, you either just take it, smile, or you just agree or not say anything, or you fight because the other two didn't align with your values. You felt like you needed to defend yourself. So you had to fight. There was all these stress hormones that's literally being released. And I'm talking about this on a scientific level because I want people to also understand where you're coming from and what's happening to your body during that moment. And literally, when cortisol is released, you're really stressed, you're literally feeling it in your body. And you had to make that video to defend yourself. One, to defend yourself, and two, to stop that habit, stop that thought, to prevent you from getting worse because you're already dealing with so much stuff in your head. What amazed me, I have to say, about you, and this was, I gained so much more respect for you, not that you needed it, was that usually when there's so much cortisol in the body and there's epinephrine, flight or fight, and they go on defense mode, okay? The prefrontal cortex, the front part of your brain, which is in charge of this decision making, analysis, empathy, and all the analytical thinking and all the function that you would need, critical thinking, basically, right? Usually, when you're thinking of a way to save yourself, compassion goes down, empathy goes down. The brain works so it's functioning in the way to solve a problem, and the emotion of compassion goes down. It actually scientifically shuts down. But even though you had so much anger or the bad feelings and like stress in your body, that was such a smart video because you made your point so clear. At the same time, you still empathized and you had the right mind to think, wait, I am mad. I'm going to give my points, but I am not going to bring down the casters, the talents, the host. I have compassion for them, and I'm going to specifically say, do not blame them. This is not their fault. I'm sure it's the production, because anyone else would have been like, fuck all of you guys. You're part of this. You said that, it came out of your mouth. Even though like we're friends, you're friends with Wolf, you're friends with Leo, you're friends with Naisu. Even though a regular person, when they're in defense mode, fight or flight, fuck everyone, I'm saving myself. That's what they would think. But what you did, you had the right mind, the critical thinking to solve your problem. At the same time, your compassion actually didn't shut down. You still had that empathy. And that showed me this kid is, sorry to call you kid because you're younger than my brother. That's
I'm
why.
not
Sorry.
complaining at all.
This guy is so smart. His values, he needed to defend himself, but his values were still intact. This guy was raised well. You were raised well by your parents.
As Dave said, I have a good
Because
mom.
yeah, thank you, mom. Thank you, dad. Because what you did, if it were someone else, they wouldn't do what you did. So what made you decide to make that video and decide, but wait, it's not the casters, it's not the talents, it's not the host. What was going through your head? Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because that was amazing for me.
So I thought of that because I've been in that experience before where I was asked like an awkward question that like okay I don't really want to answer because it's going to piss people off. In MPL Indonesia season 10 when I think it was season 10 or season 11, me, Zane, Cardi went over to Indonesia. They had us go on stage for one day and the first things they asked were what MPL teams could you beat or who are you better than? And that was like my first time being there, and that was the first question they threw, and I was like, also like no hate to them, they ask every team that, every person that. It was just my first time, so for me my emotions going through my head is like, okay, what do I say that I can't really offend anyone with? I was thinking a lot about it, and it made me very anxious in that situation. And then it's like, realistically what you should have done is what Cardi did, is what played as a joke, make a joke out of it to make it laugh. That's the best thing you could possibly do in a situation, is make a joke about it so they move on to the next question, and so nobody takes it seriously as well. And I just thought about that exact moment when I was thinking about, okay, how do these casters pros feel when they are being asked this question. That was where my empathy came from, and I was like, okay, it's not on them. I know exactly what that feeling is like to be put in that awkward spot. And when it's your career on the line, you gotta save yourself, and you can't blame anyone for prioritizing themselves. And when it comes down to their career and whatnot, something I thought I didn't really think about at the time, but I realized later that after that first day, since MPOPH on that stream essentially like didn't put in the full context, right? So people were misled with that context that MPOPH is boring, and a lot of comments who also didn't fact check my source used that idea as an outlet for their own ideas, as in like comparing the metas and gameplay and all that stuff, because I didn't say anything regarding metas anything. And I made comments like a year plus ago talking about how I didn't like tank meta. I haven't said that in over a year. I saw some people saying like, oh, he mentioned that before. It's been like a year since I said that. But they were using like me as an outlet to say PH was boring, basically. Like they were basically using me as like their shield and throwing their comments, but like saying it's from me when it's really coming from them. That really blew it up. And because people were comparing every single little thing. Oh, this tank game meta is dumb and all that stuff. And macro, no kills, all that stuff is like boring. I didn't say any of that. It's just people using what I said, my misled context, which they didn't fact check themselves, as a way to vent their own frustrations with everything going on. And then people are going to defend PH, obviously, because they don't think it's boring. And those blew up. And then they just, all the people defending PH, since they're using me as their shield, are blaming me when it's like their own opinions themselves, which I didn't hold.
What we wanted was to create discussions and create rivalry. But what we didn't want, again, I don't speak for the league, I don't speak for, but I'm sure they share the same. What we don't want is somebody attacking someone personally. That's different. And again, I have to thank you for having that mind to know from previous experience, because literally like when I was saying your name, it's literally like right on the prompter. Everything is scripted, right? Even the questions, as you know, Dave, you know this, even the questions are planted.
Yep.
We tell the players
I know
what we're
too.
going to ask. And M3, you know that when we have a little time, I tell you, okay, this is what I'm going to ask, this one to prep you. And if the players didn't feel comfortable, they go, oh, I don't want to answer that. Okay, like skip. I don't force them or anything. Actually, come to think of it, that's actually also what happened with Yaoi third day, right?
I did not watch that clip. I didn't want to make any comments because that was not me. But I heard a lot. I heard a lot about that.
Yes, you heard a lot about that. Okay, that's again region versus region. I had to ask Yaoi which was more entertaining, Philippines or Indonesia, and people thought, why are you forcing him, putting his career on the line? But like he knew the questions. We gave the questions prior, right? And I told him, Yaoi, I'm going to nag you, which in Tagalog, I'm kukulitin kita. Yeah, and I'm gonna nag you. So I knew that he wasn't going to pick a team. I knew he's not gonna say Philippines or Indo. He knew it, but I had to nag again because we're trying to create rivalry for MSC. So most of the questions are pre-planted. Sometimes there's a banter, there's a follow-up question and whatever. So again, there's like a certain, okay, create rivalry, make it hype, make it OA, whatever. All right. So I'm glad that you actually pointed that out in the video. But um, regardless, what's done is done. You had to make
Yep.
that video. Now with the cyberbullying that you experienced, what was the hardest about it?
Like the numbers didn't bother me at all. The hardest part, like the amount of masses of people complaining, that was not the hardest part. The hardest part was people being mad at you for something you never did, like something you never said, something
Yeah.
you never part of. Being falsely accused of something is just awful. Because like you defend
Yeah.
yourself, but if you seem desperate, it seems like you're guilty. You don't defend, you don't
Yeah.
say anything, it seems like you're guilty. What do? The only way to get out of that situation is to like shut up and get a lawyer, or present all the evidence that proves how you are right, which is what I had to do.
Yeah. It was really a smart video. All right. So we actually had to cut out after 40 minutes because you had a scrim, and I noticed you were checking your phone earlier. Thank you, because I took up like 10 minutes of your scrim
Yeah,
time to
I was
extend
enjoying the
it.
conversation so much. I didn't know how much
I
time has passed.
I was enjoying the conversation also. But one of the things that I was actually wondering about, and I also want to get the input of the people who are listening to this, as a viewer, right? Um, so there's lots of criticism right now, but as a viewer, what would people actually want to see in MPL Philippines in the broadcast? For you, when you watch, actually both of you, Ian and Dave, I was going to say fried chicken. Yeah, fried chicken. Ian and Dave, as a viewer, what would you want to see more of? And what do you hear about that people say that they want to see more of?
Well, I don't really know what people say, but I know personally that like I think new viewers will enjoy watching the pen to the fans, the cheers, and all that stuff. But as like a reoccurring viewer for a few years now, for me it gets pretty stale and old, and I don't really care as much. No hate to the fans or anything, but it's just anything in repetition gets boring. That's nothing new.
So variety, you want
Yeah,
variety.
yeah, variety essentially. Um, Now you could have basic ideas like just show other content creators and whatnot. I did mention that, but that's kind of basic. Something specific I thought would be a good idea would be sort of checking in on PH imports in other regions. Sort of like doing like a face cam interview on the big screen. You can just ask them basic questions like how's life over there, how's gameplay different,
That's a good idea.
it's like, are you maybe? I mean, it's gonna be like a really a controversial question, but it's like, are you better than the other players there? It's like that kind of stuff like that. But just check in on like how your imports are doing. That's an interesting way to sort of bridge the gap between two regions too when you do that kind of thing. That's
Mhm.
like the only real serious suggestion I have. I mean, I think as I'm saying I mean a lot, but I think as a viewer, I before I started streaming as a viewer, I was much more interested in watching the pros like backgrounds, their lives and whatnot, the kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Because I'm there to watch the pros, and that's something that I don't think is shared too much. It's just like what happens outside of the pro stuff.
To
Maybe like their
humanize
lives and
them.
whatnot. Yeah, humanize them essentially. Because a lot of people just look up to them as like gods.
True.
How about you, Dave?
Well, when I watch MPLPH, the thing that I watch the most is obviously the gameplay, right? So I focus on the gameplay, and then because it's at nighttime hour for US, so most of the time we watch the replay, and I just skip to the gameplay itself. I think most of the viewers will watch, like at least like older viewers like us, we just watch the gameplay. And if you really want to furnish the side things, that's just creative side. So whatever Chicken said suggested, or you can
Mhm.
just do polls for the viewers and see what they want to watch. But
Yeah.
absolutely, if you want to do creative things regarding the pro scene, it should be something that's related to the pro scene, right? Like the player's life and then what they're doing, all that kind of stuff. Everything related to the player, to the games. That's, I think, what viewers might care about more. You know.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
those are actually great points, and I'll keep note of that. I'll suggest it.
Oh,
And I actually want to. Yeah, go ahead.
random thing popped into my mind. I was just thinking of like game shows where they have contestants and whatnot, and they show like backgrounds of
Mm.
contestants and whatnot. I was thinking a random thing where it's like
Okay.
you can give like an incentive to like a player
Yeah.
to
Uh-huh.
maybe film a bit of their personal lives, and then
Okay.
production could like edit it and just play that video, between a game or two or game or so. That just I don't know randomly popped in my head.
That's
But,
actually I've been trying to pitch a game show since season 7. I've been trying. So if it's gonna be the fans, it's something where the fans could win something, and the people online can
Oh,
participate,
you mean like
and
that?
they get to win
Ah.
prizes in between. There's a lot of challenges, but I've been trying to pitch that. I love game shows, and it's something that I would actually have such a joy doing. I like it when people win and you see their reactions. If it's a fan thing, I would like that. And the questions has to do the questions. It has to have something to do with the game, like who killed the first whatever. So people pay attention to the game. Who got the first turtle kill, first lord kill, whatever. So that's actually a good idea. It's actually a good idea, and I actually want to, if the viewers, whoever's watching, if anyone's watching this, if they can actually put in the comment section, because I'm curious what people actually want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to take constructive criticism, and maybe we can apply it. How about, okay, what are your thoughts about this, being a player yourself? Because Dave, you were part of the broadcast, you were a caster before, and we do this, right? So what do you think about the banters between players, aka trash talking? They say that it makes it exciting, it creates rivalry, and really that's what we want. We want passionate fans to side with player A or player B. But what are your thoughts on that?
So I think trash talk between players is completely okay. What I
Mhm.
think matters most is how production handles the specific trash talk itself, like how much they show on both sides. I think
Mhm.
when production focuses too much on the trash talk, the viewers will get like almost too involved, and then they'll start to like kind of hurt. Then they'll like be too annoying and start like harassing. I think
Yeah.
touching over trash talk is completely okay, and it depends, of course, on the player too. Like if the player is very adamant on their trash talk, they make it their personality. Completely okay to show however much of that as you want. But I feel like if someone just mentions it like one time, right, the production should just mention it once, just show as a fun little fun fact, and then just touch off it. I remember, like those those little text boxes they would show on the sides sometimes that would just have like a
Mhm.
little fun fact. Like I would see trash talk there, but then it was just a little side comment. It was like a quote, but they don't really dwell in too much on it. If it's just
Yeah,
like something like that, you know?
not like what happened to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But seriously, all
I think
jokes
it's great.
aside,
I think
like
it's great. Yeah.
I know, I don't speak for them, but I know they didn't mean harm. They don't
Yeah.
mean harm by it, for sure. They had good intentions, but because a lot of the fans also are talking about, it was more exciting when they're, at least for the Philippines as well. Anyway, it was more exciting when there was trash talk, because when Dougie was there and Billy was there, Zapnu. I'm not sure if you know Zapnu.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
would always have the trash talk. Even Wrecker was there. It made it exciting. It made it entertaining, and people loved it. But then, now that we're trying to do it, there's also, again, like I mentioned before, where's the line, when does it go too far? um how about for you personally? Do you enjoy it when another player trash talks you, and does it fire you up?
Oh, of
Does it actually
course.
contribute to the game? Yeah, talk about that.
I think trash talk. When people trash talk, I mean, NA gets trash talk so much. Let's be honest here, and
Mhm.
it is definitely like a big motivator to push beyond your limits and keep trying harder and harder and harder. I think trash talk is good for the game. Uh, what honestly ruins trash talk is the viewers who take it too seriously. That's what ruins trash talk. Because at the end of the day, when pros trash talk each other, it's all just like banter. Like as humans, we still get along quite fine. Like I know
Yes.
several people who
Yeah.
would trash talk the shit out of me, but then you meet IRL, you're just gonna be friends. You know,
Yeah.
it's not really that deep.
Exactly.
It's just about the game. It's the viewers who really take it too far, and it's like I don't really know how you could prevent that. You could maybe just like focus on the fact that people are friends. Maybe just show them behind the
Mhm.
scenes, just hanging out and chilling to show them it's not too serious. Or it's like, yeah, it's hard to say because it's mostly the viewers that define that.
Actually, that's the thing. I think what people also need to realize is, behind the scenes, these people are friends. For example, like
Most,
Not
if
always.
Dougie
not
and,
always.
not always, but for example, just I'll take as an example in the Philippines. Dougie, Zapnu, apologize if you guys are getting dragged into this, but for example, when they trash talk, it's actually like, whoa, oh my god, I can't believe he said that to him. Da 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 da. Sometimes they take it like, oh my god, I can't believe you said that. But in real life, they're really friends. And whatever they trash talk about, it stays in the game, and that's it. And outside of the game, they hang out. I don't know if they do business deals and whatever, but they go to events and whatnot. And you're right, it is the fans that take it too far. But if I were okay, so this is how I always attack things, right? When you don't understand somebody, you try to understand a common thing, which is science. I kind of did this earlier, but when you're trash talking someone, and these are the keyboard warriors, some of them do it for justice, or some of them just do it because they want to trash talk. What's happening really with the brain is that you get a reward system, dopamine. Dopamine gets released when you're trash talking, when you're defending someone.
That's
It's like
true.
playing a video game.
That's
It's
true.
true.
Yeah.
Like there are certain cues in the video game, right? For example, you see the coins go up, you hear the footsteps. Even for us, savage, legendary, triple kill. Those are cues that release dopamine in your brain. In this case, for the viewers, every time they trash talk someone or defend someone, whether it's for justice or just to feel like they're better than you, or just to express that they're right, they actually get a dopamine hit, just like a drug. The danger with that is that you need more dosage every single time, just like a drug. You look for that. It's actually an addiction. So
Sheesh.
the more you comment, the more dopamine hit you get. You feel good. It's a reward system to a point that some people wait
All the
for the
viewers are
other
addicts.
person. Yeah, some people, because we're all online, some people actually wait for the person to reply. I'm gonna wait for this, and then they want to fight everyone. And people don't understand that. People would say that don't they have anything better to do? But you know what? Sometimes they don't, because that's where they get the dopamine release, and it's free to comment online. It's not like a chocolate where you
There's
have
no
to purchase the
consequences.
Right.
chocolate,
Right.
right? It's not like where they buy a PS5, they get the console. This is literally free, easy access that they get a dopamine hit. And for some people, when it gets really bad and dangerous, they're the ones who make a dummy account. Those are the ones that really enjoy it. So if you take a look at it, I don't completely blame the viewers, because if you take a look at the science behind it, it literally does something to your hormones, and it literally does something to your brain. It releases something to your body, and it makes you feel good. And for the people that don't understand, why do I do this? I just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's literally what happens to the brain. It's a dopamine hit. It becomes a drug. And that's what I'm saying. It gets really dangerous because it touched on people's values. This is where, at the end of the day, you take a look at people's values and where they come from and how they're raised. That's why I was saying to you earlier that I was so impressed with the way you did it, because one, you're in survival mode, cortisol, da 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 da, but you had the understanding. Let me just point out also that the viewers that we're dealing with are, most of them, a lot of them
Young.
are under
Yeah.
25 years old.
Mhm.
Okay. And if you take a look at it in a scientific way, um, the prefrontal cortex, the decision making, empathy, and stuff, it doesn't fully mature and fully develop until age 25. Until age 25. So we're literally dealing with viewers who, I'm not saying they're not smart, but the brain
Humans
is
that
still
aren't developed enough
developing.
yet.
Yeah, the brain is not fully mature.
Primitive.
It's not fully mature.
I can use that as a trash talk now. Your brain isn't fully mature.
But no, like, let's take, this is not me trash talking. This is me
Yeah.
literally backing it up with science, and
Damn.
that's why, Ian, that's why I was so impressed with you, because at 20, technically, your prefrontal cortex is not, it's to its maximum potential yet, but it's already functioning at such a high level with the way you did everything. So that's also what I wanted to point out, that yes, the viewers, don't get too worked up. It's really the viewers making it worse. Da, 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 da. But
It's
really, we're
human nature.
causing. It's human nature.
Mhm.
All these conversations, all these banters, it's literally triggering a dopamine release, the feel good hormone. They feel good doing it. It's like a drug. What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
Um, I think out of all this,
Because you're fully developed.
well, but just like you said, it's human nature, right? For player trash talk, I think, and I do think trash talk is great content. But end of the day, it's more for, we cannot force somebody to trash talk, right? I think if you get a player to trash talk, just let them be themselves. If the person want to trash talk, go ahead, right? If they don't, because actually a lot of one of the best shows, the Ultimate Fighting Champion, the UFC in the US, it's all about trash talk, you know? End of the day, for trash talking, as long as they don't dox, they don't do illegal stuff, and then for the people who are watching it, there's no control. You have no control over the viewers. I mean, the only thing is, I would say regarding trash talk, is for the organizers to not take the viewers' feedback too seriously. Because if you want to organize trash talk, there's going to be a lot of feedbacks from the community. But if you decide to go that route, you have to be willing to be more open to different kind of feedbacks. So don't blame the talent, don't blame the players for that kind of segment, or for that kind of feedback of that kind of segment, because you're gonna get a lot of controversial reactions from the viewers, because human nature, just like you point out.
Yeah, and that's where again that line that I was talking about, because I'm sure MPL Philippines production, they didn't see in hindsight the result of what's going to happen. It's all about how do we make content, how do we make it interesting. Just because it was pieced together the entire weekend, that's what made it bad. But I know for a fact that their intentions were well. It's just the way it was received, that was something that was not predicted properly. And if we were to learn something from this, what do you think that is? Like,
Maybe,
I'll start.
Do your
Okay, go ahead.
research.
Well, that's one that's
First of
true.
all, yeah.
Can I add something?
That's a
here?
no-brainer.
Yeah, go
but
ahead.
I think
You can ask.
I think for adding, I wasn't gonna ask. I was saying, like, I think the one thing that if all of us, the most obvious thing that all of us can learn from it is, if you're gonna quote a player, you can, there are a few options. You can ask for the player's permission, well, at least inform them to see if this is a true intention. Number two is quoting, especially on an official platform. You have understanding context is very, very important, because just like Ian was mentioning earlier, the information being spread correctly is a very, very important thing, in at least in US culture, right? So is heavily focused here locally, and then on any official platform, that's even more so. So it's very important for official platform to quote the entire thing, entire context and everything. Yeah, or simply just talk to the player. You know, if you want to quote them, to make, especially making content out of it, you can even involve the player, you know, as an interviewer or whatnot. That's more fun.
Yeah, like alternatively, instead of how it went, you could have been like, FwydChickn said PH production is stale. Here he is in like an interview on camera. What does he have to say about it? And then that could be like its
Would you
own
want
thing.
to guess? Would you want to actually guess in the Philippine broadcast?
I mean, why not? I wouldn't mind.
Maybe in the future. Because at this point, what's the date today? It's
11th.
Thursday. It's Thursday. So
for me, it's 11th.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Maybe we can guest you for a week. What's coming up
this weekend. I mean, probably not with our playoffs going on, and because it's MPL Philippines is really late, so I don't want to like have a bad sleep schedule to be there for the broadcast when it's playoffs going on right now. But in the future reference, yeah, for sure, I'd be down.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. I think also, I'm just thinking what would make it difficult to have, let's say the quote is that contacting the players if they're international, how long it would take for them to reach you, get an approval and things like that. Because when in the Philippines, usually we do banter to banter, it's a player in the league currently, so it's easier to tell them, hey, this is what we're gonna do, which usually we do, maybe not all the time, but usually we do.
Well, I guess with something like that, trying to get a hold of a player, it's more just about, does anyone or anyone in the league know this player? And then you just ask them to contact the player directly, and if they're familiar, you probably get a fast response. Doing it the official way, where it's like, I'm going to contact this regional branch, they're going to contact their underdog, and they're going to contact theirs to talk to this player who manages this team, that takes way too long. It would just be, I think, the best possible way. Like how you got a hold of me was you messaged Dave, because you knew Dave did NA stuff, and he messaged me. Like something like that, where you just ask around, hey, anybody know this guy? Or know anyone knows this guy? And just like, that'd be the quickest way to do it.
Yeah. I guess we're all learning from this. What I would love also to see is like to like maybe we can check with PR first.
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
we can
that
check with because for sure. I mean, I haven't spoken to them, but for sure PR is having a nightmare right now, for sure. Okay. So we talked about how you wanted, as a viewer, how you think it could improve to make it more exciting. I'm also waiting for the comments for their suggestion. What's something about, it doesn't have to be the production, but what's something about the MPL Philippines that you actually appreciate, that you like? What are your actual thoughts?
I always love seeing like new meta picks in MPL Philippines because usually they'll see them. It's like usually new meta picks that appear in Philippines tend to be more concrete than other regions. Because Philippines being the best currently, like Masha and Roger, with the most
Mhm.
recent two examples that have blown up in popularity and very picked and banned priority. Every other region sees that, like, oh, let's try, oh, let's practice right away and see how well it works with them. Like, I always appreciate that surprise factor. Because in other regions, I sometimes just don't take it as seriously. Seeing a weird niche pick, because like, oh, okay, well these guys aren't as credible. But then you see like Bren Echo, Permaban, Masha, all three games, like, oh, okay, these guys are onto something.
Why do you think, I'm actually curious, why do you think that Philippines is leading right now? I mean, there are some countries, for example, like Singapore, where
I think
um,
what, or sorry, finish.
oh, sorry. I was just saying, like there are leagues, for example, Singapore. Dave, you know this. They're not full time
Yeah.
because Singapore's so expensive
Yep.
that they actually
Mm,
need another job, and
Yep.
MPL for them is just part time, so they don't put
I didn't even know
too
that.
many hours. Yeah, that's the case in
That's
Singapore because
crazy.
cost of living is so expensive.
It's similar to
They can't be
US.
players full time. Maybe RSG is full time. I'm not sure, but maybe there's like a one or two that's full time. So what
Maybe
about
Flash and RSG. I think that'd be
and
it.
you, yeah, you said same in the US, right? So
Yep.
Yeah,
other than the fact that there are some people that don't spend too much time training, what what's the reason that Philippines right now, everyone's looking at Philippines for the current meta, why they're doing so well, and why the other regions really trying too hard to compete with them, with us, but not Indonesia's being the most successful one to compete with us. Why do you think that is?
I don't really think. Well, I think what Philippines has an advantage, massive advantage over, is management between teams, like coach and analyst. I think coach and analyst in the Philippines are like the biggest reasons why they reign dominant. If you look at like the past few M series, the winning team. Okay, well, Echo, did they go to lower bracket in M4? Yeah, they lost the blacklist. They went to lower bracket one.
Mhm.
M5, Bren went to lower bracket one. M3, blacklist went to lower bracket one. I don't remember M1 and M2. M1 actually, yeah, they were lower bracket two, weren't they? Evos and
M1 I wasn't here yet.
okay, I don't know about M1 and M2 for sure, you should look at every single M series example. It's the ability for them to analyze how they lost and develop counter strategies for Philippines, like analysts and coaching staff. I think is just superb compared to every other region. I think that's like the biggest thing.
So the
Uh,
coaching
The
staff.
coaching staff is just that much of a gap over other regions. I think other regions maybe they focus on their players too much, or they just don't. They think of that as like a secondary thing. I think Philippines they put it as a priority.
You know what? Come to think of it, perhaps that's why Onyx did extremely well because of Coach Yeb. You're right
Yeah.
in that sense. It could be. I mean, yes, the players are great, but then
Oh yeah, no, I mentioned
when
that before when they brought in Kochev.
Mhm.
Kochev is a genius
Yeah,
for Onyx.
he is.
He turned them
He
into a
is.
completely different team when he went over to Indonesia.
He is. And you know what I like about Coach Yeb? Coach Yeb, sorry for getting you involved in this. But what I like about Coach Yeb also is that not only is he a genius, he's so smart, but the way he approaches his players. Some coaches are like sergeants, and some coaches are like the father type, the brother type. He changes his approach depending on who the player is. So it will change the entire mindset of the team, all because of one person, all because of the coaching staff. So you're absolutely right. If there's another, for example, in terms of coaching, if there's something that you wish that all teams had, maybe in NA, what would that be? Like I know for some, for example, some of them have like a coach for like a psychological coach or whatever to just make sure because athletes sometimes they have this thing that you're only as good as your last performance. If you're benched, speaking for example in basketball, if you're usually the players are, did you see the 3 points that I made? Did you see how many points I got? But when they're benched, it gets to them or they think there's favoritism or what or such not. So you there's that coach to keep them in check. So when they go back in, it's as if they didn't take a break at all. They're fully prepared mentally. In that aspect, I think that's what's missing. How about for you? What else? What kind of coaching staff is needed and is essential that they need to add for everyone?
I don't think it's necessarily staff that's essential, but more like people skills for any
Ah.
sort of staff. Like knowing how to deal with people and sort of like empathize with them and make them feel like they're not alone. Because a lot of times when people are in a bad spot, they think they're alone. They don't think anyone's on their side, especially if you're playing really poorly. You know, they either beat themselves up about it or they blame someone else. It's just to have the correct judge of character as a like management or staff to like talk to that person can go miles. You know, I think NA, since everything is online, it's very tough to have that sort of thing because if you try to talk to someone in that manner, it's hard to convey your emotions purely online. And not everyone's great at reading, you know, emotions behind voices. And some people like me just have a hard time changing their monotone voice. Like I'm very monotone a lot of the times, and it's not intentional. It's just how I am.
How about for you, Dave? What do you think is missing? And that you would love to have all the teams in all the regions to have that you think would make things more competitive?
I think, well, before I touch up on that, what's needed for NA or some other teams, I think that just to appreciate MPL PH's region more, the one thing I noticed watching years of MLBB gameplay is like PH region have over other regions that I see the most is two things. Number one, discipline. Number two is regional pride. Like PH has a lot of regional pride, you know, to win world's championship for the country. That's something, you know, when they play, it's not just for a team, it's for, we have to win for PH. And that's like, it's really hard for an NA team to have that. Like NA team's like, screw you, right? If I'm not going, you're not going type of deal. You know, there are a lot of that. That's also what makes NA fun because we have a lot of drama. But I think if anything, like the other teams that I wish would have, obviously this is naive talking because we don't really wish, is just to have more pride representing a region. Because this type of event happen once a year or twice a year. It's really hard to gain that opportunity, but if you do, you know, go there with a lot of pride that you're winning for your community. You know, a lot of people are looking at you as examples. Yeah.
Yeah, those are good points, and that's why we particularly like. I don't. There's this news in the Philippines that there are certain players in RSG Philippines who were offered to go overseas. They were offered to get paid like 3 to 4 times more, but they declined, even though it would give them better livelihood. They're able to provide for their family better because of that same reason. They said, no, I want to play for the Philippines. So a lot of people would be tempted. Their lives would get better monetary wise. They would be able to get their dad, their brother, kids, everything. But no, we want to play for Philippines. And there was a player also that I remembered. He said, I just won't mention his name, but he played overseas in Portland and he came back. And then I asked him on the side, like, where do you like it better? And he said, Philippines. And the reason why is because the discipline, which you pointed out, Ian, that the
That was
discipline there,
Dave.
they weren't taking it. Oh, was it Dave? You said
That was
discipline?
Dave about
Oh,
discipline.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Dave, when you said discipline, um, he was saying that they didn't take it as serious. They didn't have the format, the habits. That's why he wanted to go back because he was taking it so seriously and he was getting frustrated that the other people weren't disciplined enough. Now, if I were to ask you guys, as a league, for example, what's something that you want to see more of? For me, I'll start just to give an idea. I want more attention to women in the league. Like it's all men that's dominating right now, right? So
Yo, not in an A,
thankfully,
okay? Not in an A. We have two
not in,
girls who are
yeah.
dominating
Oh, nice. Right
players.
now we're starting it. So that's something that I want to see more of, right? Bigger noise for the female league. How about for you guys? What would you like to see more of?
Dave,
I
I'm trying to think.
Oh
Dave,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
got
Okay, I'm actually on the same line because I think esports have no gender, right? It's not a physical sports. It's more intelligence, and then the end of the day, it's more interest. We definitely want to see more female girl players in esports. Just like I said, not in an A just now because the top teams in North America, the 2 out of the top 8 teams are the mid laners are both girls, and they're extremely good. And I think they. We would love to see them go into World Series and whatnot. It's just fantastic.
How about for you, Ian?
I mean, sponsors, first of all, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that's the reason why Indonesia's doing
There's
so
so
well
many
also.
things that
Yeah.
NA lacks that I don't really want to like go on a tangent and list them all. So a lot. That's all I'll say. A lot.
Yeah. Now, okay. Now, what do you think of this? So there's a female league right now, and you
Mhm.
just said that the MPL is no gender. What are your thoughts about separating the male and females versus putting them together? Like, for example, in one team, there could be 2 girls, or should it really be separate? I want to know your thoughts. Dave, you management level and FwydChickn as you being part of the league as a player yourself. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if I can comment much on that. I just know that objectively, dealing with boys and girls are 2 different things, right? As people,
Yes.
100%. And players and staff would have to be able to communicate with both. That's a fact. Okay, and nothing controversial there. I don't think. I think that in order for that to happen, you need to be able to learn that ability, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken do his
And
best.
dude, this is such a I can't. I don't know how to dance along these lines. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm trying to just like
Yeah.
say it in the nicest way possible.
This question was asked to me before, that's why.
Yeah.
And I was pretty straight up and I said, how do you put girls and guys together in the same boot camp? How do you expect nothing
Yeah, and that's
to happen
a
between
completely
them?
different thing. That's a completely different thing. Yeah,
Right?
Like,
Because if it's supposed to be no gender, it's supposed to be equal.
Yeah.
There was a debate whether why can't we mix them together, make it even? But then that's when the
you're gonna hear a lot of
complication.
scandals of that.
Yes, and there's two different
Hey,
emotions.
you say
How about for
that
you?
you say that among players, but their guys
Management
bring
level.
their girlfriends to boot camps all the time. It's not
No,
like
but those are their girlfriends, though. Those are not.
That's completely different, Dave. They're not
Yeah,
obligated to
right?
be
there's
there. They
still
don't have
girls
to
in the
be
boot
there.
camp.
You can still kick the girlfriends out, but you can't kick the girl if they're on the same team or
Okay,
the guy.
here
you
it
know?
is. I think esports is merit based, like in a sense where the girls that's playing in ACT, for example, Sari and Nicolette, right? Those 2 are really, really good players. We don't see them when they're playing the tournament. We don't really judge them. Oh, these are girls, they're boys. No, we don't look at those at all. What you see is the character on the screen. You're like, why this player is so good? End of the day, it's their performance that matters. So I think that esports overall, I don't think people are separating them intentionally a lot of times, right? It's really just, can they find the best player to fit in the team dynamic? So a lot of it,
or it's just the stereotype of guys can play games but girls can't. That's also
but a
pretty big
stereotype, and that's
stereotype.
bad, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's one of those like really stupid stereotypes, right? Because right now we see a lot of girls who play better than most of the guys that I know. Like I said, most of the day is up to the individual team if they can find the best female player that fits into their team, right? Logistically as well as team dynamic. Like, do they work well with each other? Like Chicken was mentioning. Also, do they work well with management? Is because for sure, if you put 2 genders in one room, there's going to be more interesting content.
Okay.
And you're right, because in a sense that this is esports is, it's not like regular sports where the muscles are involved, physical speed, physical strength, and that's not involved. It's literally how well you work with your mind and how good you are. But for me, I would think like separate boot camps,
Yo,
separate
you know, in
separate
this
boot
to
camps.
this area,
Definitely.
Mara actually was hitting me at M5, and you were strong. You were like your punches hurts. You know, it's not like a tiny jab. It's like I had to go see. I have to go get a massage afterwards from the hotel. It hurts.
What? Oh yeah, I remember. Did I punch you or kick you? I punched you.
I
You
don't.
beat the
Because
shit. You
why?
beat the shit out of
Why?
him.
Yeah.
Why did it happen? I don't remember why it
I don't know. I was
happened.
just standing there. All of a sudden, a thunderstorm just hit my left arm. I was like, "Holy!" I heard turn around. I become a sandbag for Mara. So like,
Like just, yeah, as casters and the talents, we
yeah.
we all like joke around with each other. Good thing you didn't sue me for physical
Oh no,
assault,
no, no.
but it was all for fun.
Yeah,
It
all
was
fun. So
yeah.
the reason why I bring it up, because you're physically really strong, right? You're not like
I'm a really skinny, tiny girl, but
but
I know how to
you
punch. Yeah.
took you took martial arts lessons, right? I remember you said.
I did actually. I took a little bit when I was younger, and recently just a little bit of jujitsu.
There you
I did
go.
boxing, but my passion really is. Well, I stopped training, but knife fighting. I love knife fighting. But
Cool.
anyway, let's not make this about me. But that's a hidden thing that people don't really know because I'm a small girl, right? So
Sheesh.
even if I kick you, you can still probably
Yeah.
overpower me. But there's the sport for the knife fighting, FMA, Filipino martial arts. I find it really interesting, and yeah. And enough about that. Question. Actually, I'm
Mm.
curious. If you weren't, you probably get this a lot. If you weren't a gamer, if you weren't a player, what would you be?
I could not tell you. That is something that I spent years stressing over in high school, and then when the prospect of doing esports came up, I'm just like, screw it. I'm gonna do this for a few years and then see where I go with my life afterwards.
Yeah,
Uh,
try
I
it
mean,
out. You're right.
my philosophy, like you said about the prefrontal cortex, you stop developing at 25, and from that point on, you only deteriorate. So my mindset is like, okay, I only have, half a decade left until I'm 25, and past that point, anything competition-wise is only going to get harder. So if I'm going to compete in anything, let alone like internationally, I might as well do it now. Because going for education or anything like that, I can always do it later. And sure, it'll be a little hard doing it later, but it'll be nowhere near as hard as competing for something like international trophy for a game.
Yeah. The world is different now. Back before, you had to be a doctor, an accountant, and whatever, but now it's like a combination of talent. And this is the this is the time and the era where you can actually pursue your passion versus before it was so discouraged because people would say there's no money. But now, when you're really good at whatever passion that you have, with this era that's happening right now, you
Mm.
could actually make money with your passion. How about for you Dave? Okay. Um, what would you be? Actually, I think right now you're managing a team.
Well, we help with North America mobile legend esports ecosystem for sure. Yeah. Oh,
I
chicken's
find that
camera.
chicken's
Oh, you're
camera.
good. I bumped it.
I find that amazing because you
Mm.
went from a caster now to being part of management. What's your vision right now for NACT? Because
Mm.
what you're doing is really hard. Unlike Philippines and Indonesia, where one, we have a lot of sponsors, we have a lot of viewers, you took on Mobile Legends where there's not as many people playing Mobile Legends because everybody there could afford a PC.
Yeah.
But you picked this. So what is your vision? Because people would think that you would make money off the other stuff. It would be more successful, easier, much easier. What you're doing is actually pretty hard.
I think esports is a passion. I was civil engineer before this, and I did startup. And obviously, if you talk about income wise, when I was working as an engineer, I was making good six digit income in
Yeah,
US
you
dollars.
told me.
So if you're talking about like moving to esports, this is completely out of passion. But at the same time, my family is pretty entrepreneurial. So they told me to whatever you do, try to turn it into a business, right? So Right now, this
Because you're
is
Chinese.
yeah.
No,
Maybe.
seriously, like
Our vision,
the best business people are Chinese people. Sorry, go ahead.
our the vision for NAC team. Personally, I just want to do my best to help the ecosystem to do a good job in NA, because I think for NA region, just like you said, the region is not big enough, largely due to the player base, right? The player base in NA is mostly PC. However, I think the players, just like a smart, for example, Chicken, there's Hoon, there's Zane, people who are very smart, and they leverage the opportunity, the platform they have, and turn it into a business for themselves, right? They're streaming, they're making content, they're generating income. And our goal is to amplify them, to make them even bigger and better in their own way, on the platform they're in. So this way they can sustain themselves. We need more people like Chicken. We need more people like Hoon, like Zane. And then this way they have a career, and they can also pursue their passion on top of it. So that's the approach we're going with North America. We're building more content. And then a big shout out to Chicken actually for participating in it.
Okay. Yeah.
Our content is, we want to help develop the players, but make sure to go check out the North America MLBB official channel. You can see a lot of great content with Chicken. Chicken made a Ruby guide. It was one of the best. Teach you how to be a
nice.
Spartan. Yeah.
Actually, that's what I was gonna ask. Now that the attention is on you guys, what kind of support would you like from us? What kind of support would you like from the people that are watching right now?
I mean,
How can
just
we support you?
support us at NACT under the new name Gaming Gladiators. Yeah, I thought pretty interesting. What was that org that sponsored Kid Bomba in Russia? I know that their org and Gaming Gladiators are apparently rivals in the Dota scene, and I saw a bunch of comments saying how that'd be interesting to go versus them. I thought that was actually really neat that you have other games orgs that are storylines against each other can be combined in other games as well. I thought that was really cool. Just random comment there, but yeah, just supporting us would be great. It'd be nice.
Is right now you're only active on YouTube? That's where you put out your
Yes,
content.
only on YouTube.
Okay, only on YouTube. Curious actually, because of what happened, you gained a lot of Filipino fans, right?
Yeah.
A lot of fans.
Yeah,
are
maybe
actually
Facebook is an option now. Who knows?
Yeah, we're
I
we're
think
big on Facebook.
the biggest issue is just time zone when it comes to
Yes.
doing on platforms that are focused on the Southeast Asia regions. Even with YouTube, even though it's popularly Indonesia based, my number one demographic is India. Even though, because Indonesia, it's an awkward time. I don't stream at I stream at basically midnight Indonesia. It's typically around the time I stream. It's hard to find, because I can't stream too early in the day, because nobody plays that much in the morning if I try to stream too early. But then if I stream too late, it's that's when you have scrims, that's when you have practice. It's not really a time you would normally stream at. So it's very conflicting to find a sweet spot that caters to the Southeast Asia regions when it comes to streaming on other platforms. That's why I just said I used to multi-stream to Facebook as well, but it wasn't really successful at all, so I just stopped. But I'd be willing to open to try again maybe after this.
Probably TikTok also, because it's getting big now. I'm
TikTok,
late.
I try to post. I have this weird issue with TikTok right now where it doesn't let me post content. I keep trying to post content, and it keeps saying issue, and there's no idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. I do want to start streaming TikTok, but you need 1,000 followers first. That's what I'm trying to get right now.
Okay. So let's get it up to 1,000. What's your TikTok account?
It's just pull it up right now. Actually,
yeah, let's help them out, because you do need 1,000.
FwydChickn official. So my normal name, just official right afterwards, because someone stole FwydChickn from me.
Oh wow. Okay, there's no underscore anything. It's literally
there's no underscore, no spaces. It's just FwydChickn official. That's it.
Okay, let's support that, because right now TikTok, I'm late actually with TikTok. I'm not such a content creator. I came in it late, but there's such potential. Even the brands, the sponsors, it's all TikTok now. They're saying that Facebook is not the way it used to be before. So all the brands are looking at TikTok. So let's all follow FwydChickn official, no space, no underscore. It's all one word. So you have your YouTube. Now we're gonna try to support you with your TikTok account. Let's make it 1,000. How about for you, Dave? How can we support NACT? How can we support the league? How can we support the team?
Oh, just come watch NACT. It's very fun, actually. Quite entertaining. You gotta see something you don't see anywhere else. I swear to God, because we have the best female players beating guys' ass. On
In game.
yeah, in game.
Uh-huh.
You know, in game,
Uh-huh.
only in game. Okay, we don't encourage physical, violence, please. So peace only. All right. So the thing is, we have the best female players, I think, right? Playing and beating all kinds of players on NACT platform. It's great. It's fantastic. So come watch NACT when, and also it doesn't compete against MPL because we are a different time zone. So when NACT is on, it's morning time for Asia. So you can watch it when you're free, and it's on the weekend.
How about if I were to, let's say I'm Moonton, for
Yeah.
example, and you were to ask me, I asked you,
Yeah.
Dave, how can we support NACT? What would you say to them?
Oh, I think, to be honest, NA region, just like I mentioned before, is so small, right? I think that overall, statistically, that the fact that Moonton is still supporting the region is already very, very great. Personally, I'm very thankful. I don't speak for anyone else. I'm very thankful for the opportunity that we have in North America region. So I wouldn't expect much more or anything from anyone, really. Just if you want to show love, come watch NACT. Because really, I believe in our show. I believe in our players. And then I want to see more girls go into Worlds. No offense to Chicken's team, but
I wasn't gonna say anything. I don't know why you brought it up about me, man.
How about you, Chicken? How can
hey, they recently just lost to a girls team, by the way. Chicken's team.
Okay. It's not playoffs, Dave.
okay.
Okay, random comments. I think Moonton's YouTube ads are awful. Some of the most horrendous I've ever seen. I don't know if do you know what Skibbity Toilet is?
No, what is that?
Okay, well, I've just seen the most it will be Ballman's face on a toilet, a Ballman's head just on it. It's
Where is this?
it's some awful ad. I just don't know what Moonton's ad team, whoever creates their ads, edits them. I don't know what's going on through their heads. It's so weird. It's like I don't know what it's catered to. I don't know. It's just I wish I could give you an example. I'll find one and show it to you.
Hey, I know what Chicken is talking about. Chicken, I just want to say this, Chicken. What you don't understand is what you don't understand, okay? Something that works in that kind of format, and it might seem cringe to you personally, but it
could be for kids. It could be for kids. You might be right. You might be right. It might seem absolutely really awful, horrendous shit for me, but it might be catered for kids. You could be 100% right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know what the younger generation likes anymore. There's such a big gap between what my generation liked and their liked, and I'm not even a boomer. It just changed so much over the last 10 years. So maybe you're right. Maybe they enjoy that shit and horse crap. I don't know.
Oh my! So that you can see the age difference. I think Dave, I'm closer to your age. I'm a lot closer.
You know what I'm talking about, which is I know what it is. I just don't know why it's entertainment.
So before we go, actually, I want to do this. This is my first episode of this podcast. So thank you so much for being a part of it. I've been meaning to do a podcast for the longest time, and I didn't get around to it. So now, because of this, I wanted to turn something that happened negative into something more positive. And I wanted to hear your thoughts about, okay, what do you actually want to see? I want people to get to know you, because you are, from what I know, I mean, I'm not from there, but from what I know, from how I met you in M3 and M4, you're a really good person. You're a really nice person. And with everything that happened, again, I'm amazed by how your brain functions at such a high level. So thank you for being the first guest of the podcast, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a good mom.
Yeah, you were
mom.
listening to the entire time, and Dave was here to make sure that Chicken is comfortable, and just to be there as a
friend,
a support, a friend. Okay, and what I would like to do in my podcast at the end of it, I would like to ask them a question. Later on, you're gonna be leaving a question to the next guest without knowing who the next guest is, and I want it to be something that people can think about. But for you, because you are the first one, and considering that with the recent thing that happened, there were a lot of things that you had to face. But overall, you're 20. In your 20 years of life, what are the 3 lessons and takeaways that you've learned that you have right now? 3 lessons from everything everything bad, everything challenging that's ever happened to you. The 3 lessons from any. It doesn't have to be from the recent one. It could be anything from before that you took with you that helped you.
I mean, first thing that comes to mind is always have a person that you can like vent or rant to, especially if you're feeling down or if things on your mind, whether it be your family or friends. Just like I have, friends and family. I talk to probably things that I shouldn't say, on contract or like on camera and whatnot or on stream to anyone. But since they're not part of the content scene, it's like I don't care if I tell them, and I can just tell them and get their opinions. It's also like nice to get someone who's a third party who has no idea what you do as like a base of reason, kind of. I think that's one. Two, I think you don't make any decisions while you are emotional. That's something is 100% you shouldn't. You always should just wait until you calm down, or check in with someone to make sure that they think you're calm before you make a decision. Making irrational decisions or emotional decisions can ruin your life, completely. As for a third thing, I'm trying to think of something that's actually like helpful and not cheesy.
No, but those things actually
Oh, those
help.
first two things I think are actually helpful.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a third point that's helpful and not
Yeah.
cheesy.
Just to go on that while you're thinking about it, the first point, support system really helps. Support and somebody that cares for you, that respect you, that might not be where you're at, but just really wants the best for you. So that's really great. And not making decisions when you're emotional, because like I said before, when the analytical thinking is up, the compassion goes down, the emotions. But when the emotions goes up, the critical part, you're not thinking properly. So one slows down, one goes up. So that's basically what happens in the brain. So that's absolutely right. Did you think of a third one yet?
Yeah, I actually have a third one. Always take your failures as lessons. That's something that I have been telling myself a lot ever since doing a pro career, and I keep reaffirming myself every time I get a loss or a setback. I just think, what have I learned from this? And that helps me sort of cope, and that helps me like just sort of be okay with the situation that I'm in. Like, every single embarrassing memory you have as a person you learn from those, You think back to those as cringe and whatnot, but then it's like, okay, that cringe thing happened, it shouldn't happen again. Now, if it happens again, then it's on you, and then you're kind of an idiot, but yeah, I think about that a lot. Every time I lose or have a setback, just what have I learned from it to sort of move on.
That's good. That's good thinking. Man, your parents raised you well. If you were my brother, I always say this. I say this to my co-casters, also co-talents. Like, if you were my brother, I would give you a pat in the back and be like, "Good job, good job." That's a good processing that you have. Dave, how about for you? 3 lessons throughout everything, all the challenges, all the bad stuff, everything, the hurdles that came your way. What are the 3 lessons that?
I think number one, assume that personally I'm ignorant, because there are a lot of things that I don't know. Once you start getting to know more and more, once you grow in life, I think one thing, I have a lot of regrets, right, for stuff that happened in the past, because now I realize there's so much stuff that we simply don't know. And when you're about to make a complaint about something, before you do that, really, just like Chickn was saying, like, talk to people who are more senior, talk to your support system, right? Get to know more, get to learn. And then secondly, I guess spread more positive message. Just overall 2024 for me, it's all about it's year of positivity. So every time I look at something, instead of looking at the problem, my thought process immediately goes to the solution for it. How do we handle the problem instead of just focus on the problem? Last but not least, I don't really have a last but not least. I think just for Chickn, I hope you do more content. Okay, need you to do more content.
Yeah, I've been getting a little lazy recently.
You've gained a lot.
Doing that video was my doing more content, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. True.
Hey, you know what? This year, you were saying this year is a year for positivity. This year is actually a year for manifestation. So you wanted to do more content. Unknowingly, you did something, commenting on your own stream. It blew up. Now it forced you to make a content. And now hopefully we see a lot more content from you, because we also want to see your life. We want to see also NECT. So hopefully this also gathers more support from you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, Dave, by the way, during the break,
Yeah.
I reached into my bag and then I'm like, oh yeah, thank you. Do you remember this? You gifted it to me during M5. I use it. I love it. So he
Oh
gave this
my
to me. This
god.
is like an N5
Yeah.
gift. It's like handmade leather. I forgot what the shop is called. So thank you.
Nice.
You
Wow.
know, Mara
During that hour and a half.
sold me on this actually. What was that? I was there. She told me this is made by the special community in Philippines, and
Yeah.
I thought it was
They're
cute.
handicapped.
Yeah.
I wanted everyone. That's why I kept bringing everybody to that desk and like, can we support them? Because it's. I love that that booth. Too bad I forgot the name. They're creating jobs for people who are handicapped.
Yeah.
So
It's
they
a really
made
good
this.
thing.
Oh, it's called Harls.
Yeah.
It's called Harls.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Hey, I just
this is
want to.
that.
I know this is closing, but before we close, I just want to give big shout out to Mara also, like for always be very supportive of North America region, because I think MLB community overall is probably the most inclusive and the nicest community I've been in. Like for working in different communities so far, working with talents has been always been very hard, especially well-known talent, someone like Mara, just to say hi is kind of difficult in some titles. But for MLBB, the title that's biggest in the world, and you have the number one host right here, right, the most well known, Mara. And every time we go to see Mara and say, "Hey, can you record a message for the NACT fans?" She just, yeah, let's do it. Like it's very, and that's something that I really appreciate. So thank you so much for always
Of course,
supporting our region. Yeah.
anytime. The only thing that I couldn't do was when you were asking me to host because the time difference. So I would have to, and there's MPL on the weekend, and the time conflict. So that's something that I couldn't commit, and I was really thinking hard on. I'm like, I want to do it, but it might compromise my focus for
Where she actually
the
makes money.
broadcast. Yeah. So thank you so much. Actually, I also have to get ready. There's
Yeah.
it's 2 o'clock. There's an award. Oh man,
Go
it's
for it.
actually there's an award right now. And I won best host award, but I was
Which you
hesitant.
deserve.
You deserve.
Thank you, but I was hesitant to go, and I'm actually thinking of warning the organizers because of this heat that's on me right now, and they're gonna broadcast it, and what I fear is people are going to bash them, and it's like, why did you hand that best host when she's biased and shitty and cringe and whatever because of this recent thing. So that's one of the things that I'm actually debating, like, should I go, should I not go? But oh wow, wait, what happened here? Okay, sorry, something popped up. So I'm gonna get ready for that. I'm not fully decided yet,
Mhm.
just because I don't know if the organizers know about this thing that's happening. But anyway. Um, well, you take the hit, and that's fine. What I cared mostly about was your state, Ian. That's why
Mhm.
I reached out to you
I appreciate
right
that.
away, and I didn't need to tell everybody and type that, oh, we're okay. Like it's just what mattered to me was like you, and if you were okay, your state and such. And thank you so much once again. And if there's anything I can do to help you guys out, you let me know. Dave, you let me know, as long as it's not conflicting with the
Uh,
times. But I'd be more than happy to help out, and I'm sure a lot of the talents here also would love to help you guys out.
we need more Mara with innate talent content. Mara with
You let me
more.
know. Let's make it happen.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you. And Ian, I know you did a scrim earlier. Good luck. Good luck
Thank
for
you.
your for the playoffs, right? The
Yep.
playoffs. Yeah. Good luck on the
Playoffs for the
playoffs.
MSC qualifier, the big tournament.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Let's see. We
Yeah.
hope to see you there. I don't know if I'm
Yep.
going to be there either. We hope to see you.
Uh,
Dave, see you soon. And you guys have an amazing day.
Thank
All
you,
Hey,
right.
Mara.
Tamara. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.